Hello, my name is Jason at Suffer City, talking about the Hyrox. I recently completed my first Hyrox race. Super challenging, super fun event, especially if you want somebody to come watch you run one of these races. It's very spectator friendly, get to cheer you on and motivate you throughout the entire race course. It's a fun race course, but let me tell you again, it's challenging. So you want to prepare, all right? Especially if you've not indulged in a race like this before, you want to get yourself prepared. What do is start running. All right, most of these races are run dominant races, whether they're Spartan races, Hyrox races, any type of a obstacle course or fitness race event. Hey, these are run dominant events, and you want to be able to run and keep your running quick throughout the course of every kilometer that you're going to do. So as you know, or don't know perhaps, every time you get into rock zone, as they're called, they're preceded by a 1,000 meter run. There's going to be 8 of them over the course of this race. So get yourself sped up on the running, and also start getting your leg strength endurance up. A lot of lunges, a lot of moderate weight squats. Front squats are going to be especially helpful for you. And then start pushing and pulling a sled. There's some sled technique we'll kind of talk about throughout this, but overall, this is a fantastic event to put a lot of fitness, a little bit of skill, and a tremendous amount of willingness will get you through this race. Let's get started. So as you're able to see at the beginning, it's a pretty Showtime style event. A lot of lights, a lot of noise, a lot of music. You got an MC there getting you motivated before. And this is the female pro heat getting ready to take off here. Now you already see in the background, there's people already on the track. They're running around. So you got to be a little mindful as you're released onto your first lap. Now I say first lap because every kilometer you run, depending upon the venue you're at, will likely be 3, maybe 4 laps around the same track. So be very aware. You got to practice some situational awareness here. Otherwise, you may find yourself running an additional lap, or you may find yourself running not enough laps, at which point you'll be penalized. So you can see the females here getting ready. This switches over to where the spectators are looking. This is me taking the video of my buddy who's getting ready to go on in his open heat division. So you see them take off, and I highly encourage you, especially if this is a new event, you don't need to come out of the gate ultra hot. All right, let your body and your mind sort of acclimate to the race itself. Maybe start putting on the gas pedal after the 3rd or the 4th kilometer, because if you're really driving hot on your first kilometer, well, you're going to get hot, and the chances are you're not going to cool down. So, hey, be mindful of how you come out of the gate. Anyways, you got 1,000 meters right out of that gate. And the first thing we're going to do is lock into a ski erg. Now, this is 1,000 meters of ski erging. Now, the deal is, if you're not a ski erger, if you've not done this a lot, I want to encourage you to get a little bit of time under the ski erg. Now, it's only 1,000 meters total that you're going to do, but still, if you're not familiar with this could kick your butt more than you want to. You can find yourself coming out of that first rock zone more uncomfortable than you need to be. So hey, get yourself a little bit of prep time, learn some of the mechanics and the skill involved with your ski erg. You could take this down to as low as a 3-minute 1,000 meter. Chances are you'll be about 3:34, maybe 4 minutes and 30 seconds on your ski erg time. But do your best, kick some butt here, and as soon as you're done with it, get out of those rock zones as quickly as you can. So as soon as you're done with that ski erg, you go on your next 1,000, and then you got the sled. Now this sled push is no joke, especially if you're in the pro division. It's not just the weight of the sled though. If you're able to see, we're pushing over this carpet, and if you look closely, you can see that carpet kind of rippling in front of those sleds, right? Those sleds are depressed into that carpet, and you're pushing into that depression as well. It's not easy. And you see, I kind of switch up my tactic here from a traditional push to starting to lift that sled up, and it works significantly better than the traditional style I was doing. So I get my arms sort of wrapped around the poles there, and then I lift and drive as fast as I can. And that's a core dominant exercise, as well as I'm lifting that sled up. My core is heavily engaged. Yes, the legs are burning, and we're breathing like crazy. That's 100 meters. You go down and back twice. All right, down and back twice. Once you get done with that, you're off to your 1,000 meters again. Now, the third event, this is scary challenging because we didn't expect it. Myself and a couple of buddies that went to run this race, we knew the sled push was going to be hard, but we didn't anticipate the sled pull was going to be as hard as it was. But it's tough. You see me pulling as hard as I can right here, and the factor I didn't account for was the length of the rope. The rope is super long, and so part of the first pull you do on that sled is just getting all of the slack out of the rope, or really pulling it as tight as it can be, and then you'll start to feel the sled pulling towards you. And again, yes, these sleds are on that same type of carpet, so there's a little bit of depression in there, and you're pulling against that as well. But as you see me pulling, this again is another 2 times down and back. I make a full mental error here. I wasn't certain of what I was supposed to be doing. And so when I get done, I even ask the guy, like, hey, what do I do? Do I do it again? Is this it? And he kind of gives me the signal to go to the exit. So it's what I do. I got penalized. It was a 3-minute penalty. And to be fair, I think they kind of gave me a little bit because it probably would have taken me more than 3 minutes to pull that sled back down and for another lap. It would have taken me more than 3 minutes. So kind of lucked out there. In any case, I'm out. And what else is cool is they got bottles of water for you. They got a lot of stuff to keep you in the fight. And I encourage you, if you're someone who sweats a lot like I do and puts off a lot of heat, you may want to be hydrating throughout this race. As soon as I get out of that, it's back to your 1,000 meters. All right, so we're 3 events in now. And the 4th event is our burpee broad jump. Burpee broad jump, incredibly challenging. The burpee broad jump, you get into it, the first thing you do is your burpee. And then you have to ensure that every burpee broad jump you do, your hands are setting down within about a foot or so of your feet. Now, if you don't do that, they will send you back. They'll recognize you're kind of diving forward to reduce the distance of how much you got to do. They'll send you back, and you can see how quickly I start to lose some energy. I get into that rock zone, and I'm kind of flying through my first 50 meters or so of burpees, and then you start to see me slow down dramatically. Very tough event here. In fact, after my burpee broad jump, that's when I started to feel a little bit of the bubble guts, felt a little pukey coming out of this lap. But I went right back into my 1,000 meters. And as soon as you finish that, the 5th event, in fact, is the row. Now, I've done a little bit of rowing. I have some row experience. So this was actually one of the easier of the rock zones that I had. It's 1,000 meter. I was actually able to get my breath under me a little bit, start moving a little bit. And I finished my 1,000 meter row in just about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And so it was a tough deal, though. If you're not familiar with rowing, again, it is skill driven. So you're going to want to find yourself getting a little bit of time on that rower, understanding the leg drive, the core stabilization, as well as that good arm pull, and get your breathing down. It's going to be something that I encourage you to do in preparation for this race, is understand your breathing. Right? The breathing is one of the most important tools in any event, especially this Hyrox event. Once you get out of that, your 5th event, or your 6th event rather, is the farmer's carry. I don't have it on here, I apologize, but just know you pick up some heavy kettlebells and you got about 200 meters of moving as quickly as you can. Now by heavy, I believe the guys are weighted out at about 80 pounds, the females at about 55 to 60 pounds. In either case, just pick up heavy stuff, let your forearms burn to the limit, and get comfortable while doing that, because you can end up burning a lot of time setting the kettlebells down, picking them back up, setting them down, picking them up. So the more you're able to just to move through with the fewest amount of breaks, the better. But again, you get done with that farmer's carry, you're right back onto a 1,000 meter run. And once you get done with that 1,000 meter run, it's going to start to feel good, because hey, I got 2 events left. All right, one of which is the walking lunges. Now, I thought the walking lunges were going to crush me. I was going in there, I had a little bit of a injury going into my vastus medialis, one of my quadricep muscles on my left side, and I thought the lunges were going to smoke check me a little bit more than they did. I was able to get through pain-free, no real incidents there, but even still, you have to use your breath. Now, you do need to go all the way up, and the back knee does need to touch on these lunges, so ensure you're getting your full range of motion reps. I think the gentleman's sandbag is roughly 65 pounds. The female sandbag is about 55 pounds, somewhere around there. Either way, it's manageable, but again, you're already breathing heavy, the body's hot, so you just need to sustain through that 100 meter walk and lunge. As soon as you're done with your walk and lunges, hey, it's a good feeling, because you only got 1 more 1,000 meter run to go, and then 1 more rock event. Now that rock event is the wall balls. Some would say this may be one of the most challenging because there's 100 of them. In the open heat, I think there's 75. In the pro heat here, I got a 20-pound wall ball, and I have 100 of these wall ball shots. Now, I generally do wall ball shots with a 30-pound wall ball, so I knew this was going to be tough, but I didn't feel like it was going to be as tough as it was for me. In fact, I ended up spending almost 8 minutes on this thing. Now, it's not without me taking a little momentary break to let my lunch go, as you'll see here, but at the end of the day, this is a tough event. You want to practice these 100 wall balls. Get used to running a good K or a good kilometer and then going right into a 100 wall ball set just to know what it feels like, because you're going to feel these. The good thing is, though, is once you're done with these 100, you're done with your race. All right, wherever you're at, book it to that finish line, get across that finish line, and you can finally take your hands off the wheel. Kind of relax a little bit, as much as you can, I suppose. But hey, you finished your race. All right, a wonderful event, fantastic event. And I'll tell you what's even cooler. As soon as you're done, you get all your data. You don't got to wait till the next day to get your race time or to get your splits. They got everything for you right there. Very cool. Very well-run race. The organization that's putting these Hyrox races on, they're serious about this. They want to make sure you're having a great time, but they also want to make sure from the competitive side that people are having these eggs or apples to apples comparisons with their races. So they're way into the competitive side and they're way into the entertainment side as well. And so I want to encourage you, if you haven't yet, try to sign up for one of these races. Give it a go. It's going to challenge you, but again, if you prepare, the better you're prepared, the more enjoyable your experience will be. I hope you're able to get something out of this. I'll likely be posting some stuff about each of the individual Rock Zone events that are there in terms of some of the tips and tricks that I've been able to integrate into my training so far. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video and go be great.